What up, what up? It's Chin back in the forums. So, this hand comes from Jimbo and he's playing 1-2 no limit and effective stacks are like 650. So, in this hand, MP raises to 12 and gets called by the button, who's a fish, and he decides to 3-bet from the small blind with ace-8 of clubs. And I just want to talk about that briefly. In general, I don't necessarily mind this play. Because we're 3-betting up ace blocker and all these fancy terms that people like to throw around. But in this spot, we're missing a very important factor, and it's the fact that we're 320 big blinds deep. And at that depth, we don't necessarily want to be 3-bet pretty much anything. There's like an old notion from a long time ago where this really good player called A.E. Jones, great internet player, he pretty much said that at anything over 300 big blinds, we really shouldn't be 3-betting anything. And I think that's really true. And I think it applies here. So the fact that we're 3-betting ace-8 of clubs from the small blind at a depth of 320 big blinds is a big mistake. And I think that's the highlight of this hand. I think we should be flatting here with a pretty strong range overall. We should be flatting here probably like ace-king and stuff like that. At least we should make an argument for it. But Hero decides to 3-bet and gets called in both spots, which is expected at this depth, and I think that's the problem. So we get pretty fortunate and flop of ace-8, 3, all diamonds, and now we have a decision between checking and betting. I think betting is obviously going to be the best play, and Hero decides to bet 120 into 180, which I think is perfectly fine. The villain flats and the button folds. And the turn comes the deuce of hearts, which is a pretty brick turn. And now there's 420 in the middle, and Hero decides to shove, which I think, again, is a mistake. So when Hero shoves here, I expect the villain to fold a really high frequency. So I think you only get called here by specifically, like, flushes, and maybe he calls you with ace-king with the king of diamonds. And that's about it. There's really no other hands that are going to call your shove because it's just like a massive shove and you're not necessarily going to be bluffing here often enough for him to justify calling you lighter than that. So I think that's the big thing to take away from here. I think when you shove the turn, you allow him to play pretty much perfectly, and I think that's the mistake. So I think your turn shove should be, your turn bet should be closer to, again, like 2/3 pot, and then just shove most rivers. And obviously if he shoves the turn, it's just kind of a throw up spot for us, and we just got to call off. And that's just what's going to happen. But I think the main thing you want to take away from this hand is that you shouldn't be 3-betting ace-8 of clubs at this depth because it's just going to get you in trouble. So you really want to reevaluate your 3-bet range and 3-bet frequencies at different stack depths, and I think that's what you need to take away from this hand. All right, so I hope you guys got something out of it, and I'll keep an eye on this thread. So without further ado, peace.